Some people are different. They command respect without seeking it, and people give them that respect without really knowing why. Do you know why? Maybe you are one of those people, so you know, but maybe you're not. And if you're not, chances are you were trained from childhood to chase faces. You learned to scan rooms like a weather app, to read every brow and mouth corner for hints of approval, to edit yourself mid-sentence once you sensed a cloud forming. You tucked your edges when someone flinched. You rushed to explain whenever someone looked confused. You stacked apologies like sandbags along the river of other people's moods and called it kindness. It wasn't kindness. It was a habit built on fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being outside the circle, fear that not being liked means not being safe. The result is a life run by feedback, a calendar that even strangers can steer, a mind that burns calories managing impressions while your real work idles. Machiavelli wouldn't call this moral or immoral, he would call it unwise. He would ask a question you may have avoided. What if being likable is the cheapest currency in the room, and you've been working for tips while power has been paid in wire transfers you never asked to see? You think likability buys protection. It doesn't. It buys access to more requests. People do not protect what they can use freely. When you prove that a smile can purchase your time, your thoughts, and your compliance, the marketplace treats you accordingly. Price drops. Demand rises. Respect, on the other hand, changes the math. Respect is heavier than charm. It is inconvenient to move. It costs energy to attack. Respect makes casual sabotage a poor investment. You do not have to be feared to be respected, but you must be firm. You must place weight behind your words and consistency beneath your feet. Respect is a tax on nonsense, and you either levy it or you end up paying it. The first move is to stop renting your nervous system to approval. Approval feels like oxygen because you learn to breathe it, but the moment you detach your oxygen line, you find a better air, evidence, outcomes, delivery. When your sense of self attaches to outcomes instead of applause, you become harder to hustle. A manipulator can yank at your image. They can't easily shift a number on your dashboard. And when your day's value tallies in finished work rather than flattering replies, your schedule becomes a gate, not a sponge. You stop leaking time into the dirt. You start irrigating what actually grows. This is not a call to cruelty. It is a call to control. You control pace. You control access. You control your own narrative by refusing to narrate for audiences that came to jeer, not to judge. Research the landscape around you and you will see a simple pattern. The more a person talks to prove innocence, the more the crowd treats them as a defendant. The less a person justifies, the more the crowd wonders what they know that the crowd does not. That tension is not arrogance. That tension is a cost placed on lazy accusations. Make people pay to move you. Make them bring facts. Make them bring deadlines and decisions with names. When they arrive with fog instead, let silence do what you used to make speeches try to do. Silence turns the burden of proof around without raising your voice. Ask yourself why begging for approval feels necessary. Most of the time, you confuse connection with permission and permission with safety. You seek permission to stand tall so you won't be blamed for blocking the view. But a person waiting for permission to carry their own spine is announcing that anyone may push. Here is the Machiavellian turn. Likability is a feel-good drug. Respect is a strategic asset. One wears off in hours. The other builds compound interest precisely when lights are bright and stakes are high. When you stop seeking the first, your appetite for the second returns, and with it, a posture that unsettles the people who relied on your reflex to please. If you want to measure where you are, watch yourself the next time someone tosses a sly accusation across a meeting table and then looks away as if it were too small to notice. Do you start explaining your motives, giving away the internal notes of your mind in long paragraphs that nobody asked for? Or do you hold, head level, shoulders open, and ask very simply, what decision is blocked by that claim? If there is no decision, you have found a performance. You are not a stagehand. Let the curtain fall without your help. If there is a decision, you propose clear evidence and a deadline, then stop. Notice how the room behaves. Watch the accuser shift in their chair when their reward, your flustered monologue, doesn't arrive. That shift is the first inch of power returning to its rightful owner. Likability begs. Respect bills. To bill, you need a ledger, not gossip. You keep receipts. You write what you promised, when, to whom, and why. You track what shipped and what remains. You document the constraints and the choices. This is not sterile bureaucracy, it's a shield woven from facts. When rumors try to rent your reputation, receipts raise the price beyond their budget. Critics can argue about taste. They struggle to argue with a trail of shipped work. Your receipts teach allies how to defend you when you are not in the room, because they can point to reality instead of rallying around your charm. In the long run, reality is the only bodyguard that does not sleep. You can feel the psychological hinge turning as soon as you stop explaining your existence to people who cheapen it. Insecure adversaries want a tug of war with your identity because that is ground they can muddy. Wise opponents, yes, there are such people, prefer to wrestle with your results because results can teach them something. When you refuse identity theater, you test which crowd you are dealing with. The insecure will grow louder and sloppier. Let them. They will overreach. They will contradict yesterday's story. They will reveal their motive. Their embarrassment, not your cleverness, will end the scene. The wise will bring substance and precision. Engage them fully. Respect does not fear scrutiny. Respect invites the kind that makes the work better. A strong reputation is built in the gaps between storms. You do not wait for drama to practice steadiness. You practice it on ordinary Tuesday mornings. You guard your first 90 minutes like a banker guards the vault. You build before you browse. You choose the day's one high-leverage action before you open your inbox to 1,000 low-leverage invitations. You do not treat other people's urgency as an automatic override on your priorities. You set public response windows and you keep them, not because you are aloof, but because you refuse to be jackknifed by pings. People who need immediate access will howl at first. They are used to your nervous system as a public charger. Soon they learn that your boundaries are not made of foam. They learn to prepare before they approach. That learning, multiplied across a team or a family, returns hours to the calendar like finding money in a wall. There is an art to the phrases that end a scene without drawing new blood. You do not owe long justifications to people who earned none. You own short, clean lines delivered without heat. Noted number. That's not a priority for me. I don't discuss that. I'm available for solutions, not performances. Each line carries a psychological weight that people feel in their gut. The conversation will advance only on the rails of substance and decision. Those rails save you from the back-and-forth spiral where one vague jab breeds 10 defensive paragraphs. The person on the other end must either elevate to clarity or reveal they came for theater. If they elevate, treat them with full respect. If they choose theater, let them perform without you. You do not boo. You do not clap. You leave the venue. Reputation management in this frame is not about polishing your halo. It is about designing your shadow. What follows behind you when you leave the room should be the memory of clean decisions, kept promises, and a pace that never panics. A good reputation is nice to be around. A strong reputation is dangerous to underestimate. The first wins compliments, the second deters careless shots. When your name carries the second, people stop bumping into you by accident. They email twice before accusing once. They bring data instead of gossip. They watch their own posture when you're quiet. Notice what you avoid when you carry that kind of weight. You avoid constant reintroductions to your values. You avoid midnight repair jobs for problems created by softness. You avoid being a soft target for anyone bored enough to stir trouble. How do you cultivate the kind of presence where accusations evaporate? You craft immunity through habits that look boring until they save a life. Sleep like it matters because it governs judgment. Move your body because stillness breeds crusty thought. Eat like tomorrow needs you. Reduce inputs. Raw feeds shred your attention. Keep polished words for people you love and use plain words for everyone else. Write the plan for the week on one page. Name the 3 inevitable interruptions. Decide now what you will drop rather than pretend you can carry it all. A person with this kind of architecture hums at a steady frequency. They give off an air of grounded patience that makes other people measure twice before speaking once. That is not mystique. That is maintenance. There is a social judo everyone in power eventually learns. Use absence with intention, not ghosting, not sulking. Planned absence. You step away at the exact moment the drama wants you most because your presence would feed a fire and your absence forces the spark to reveal whether it's gasoline or gossip. If it's gasoline, the blaze will rise fast and burn out even faster when it runs out of oxygen. If it's gossip, it will spread thin and die of boredom without your replies to fertilize it. absence breaks loops. It also tests loyalties. The people who only show up for your energy won't wait. The people who came for the mission will keep building until you return. You want that test. You want to know who is here for you and who is here for the theater they hope you'll fund. You will be told that respect follows kindness. Sometimes. Often it follows clarity. People can trust a clear, firm person even if they dislike them in the moment, because a clear, firm person is predictable where it counts, in execution, in truth-telling, in deadlines, in boundaries. The strange, counterintuitive truth is that chasing affection usually injures affection. The audience grows tired of your performance and suspicious of your sudden pivots. Chasing respect may cost you applause today and buy you loyalty tomorrow. Which one pays longer? Which one protects the work when storms hit? Which one lets you sleep? If you answer with your real priorities instead of your trained reflexes, you already know. Let's walk through arenas where this difference matters. In a job interview, likability scripts push candidates into autobiographies. It's a blur of adjectives. The panel nods and forgets. A respect-oriented candidate flips the scene. 3 deliverables, 1 risk accepted with a mitigation, 1 quantifiable win, 1 crisp ask. Then quiet. That quiet is not arrogance. It lets the facts breathe. The panel feels the weight of someone who doesn't barter for approval with words. They feel a person who prefers to speak last and ship first. In negotiation, the likable habit is to fill silence with discounts. The respectful posture is to let the numbers do their honest work. You anchor, outline terms, ask clean questions, and resist the urge to pay with your dignity when the other side postures. No flinch, no chatter. The other side must either bring substance or swing the air. Consider leadership. A leader addicted to being liked uses meetings as therapy. They soften every decision with endless context and finish exhausted with nothing decided. A leader building respect states the aim, names the owner, sets the check-in, and leaves the room. They invite dissent before committing, not after. They keep loops tight. They refuse to pay in morale what should be paid in planning. And when a crisis hits, the respect-centered leader breathes first, speaks plainly, and does not promise away the team's sleep. Trust rises because the team can predict the pattern. Panic spreads where leaders are windy. Calm spreads where leaders act on policy, not panic. Take the private realm where approval pressure is most intense. Family. If you rely on being liked, you end up attending every argument you're invited to. You carry the guilt of saying no to plans that drain your energy. You explain your boundaries until the explanation becomes a new argument. Shift to respect. You keep warm eyes, but your calendar has teeth. You do not pretend that all emergencies are equal. You refuse to make your evening a courtroom for grievances that never close. You love without becoming a utility. The shock at first is real, but watch what settles once people learn your yes means yes and your no means no. Watch how genuine moments of care grow when they are not drowned by constant performance. Online, you know the drill. Likability becomes the theater of replying to strangers as if they were shareholders in your soul. You post to diffuse, and the crowd returns with more. You apologize to pacify, and the crowd carves a new slice. In a respect economy, you choose distance, not contempt, distance. You publish on a cadence that fits your craft. You answer in public with evidence when the record needs it and stay silent when the bonfire only wants wood. You treat DMs like doors, not hallways. The hunger to be liked is a hook. The respect to be earned is a season. Trade like a farmer, not like a gambler. There is a way to flip accusations so they melt without spectacle. If someone labels your quiet as guilt, you answer with time windows, not emotions. We will respond on Friday with evidence. Until then, we're building. If someone paints your firmness as arrogance, you answer with delivery. We shipped on time and under budget. Feelings are noted, facts lead. If someone tries to bait you with a half-truth, you don't duel over adjectives. You publish the receipts and refuse encore demands. You are not cold when you decline a second defense. You are bold enough to make explanation a one-time service, not a subscription. A word on silence, again, because it is the instrument guilds once taught and timelines now teach you to fear. Chosen quiet has an effect that sophistry cannot fake. It makes liars talk too much. It makes bullies repeat themselves until the repetition reveals emptiness. It gives your allies room to step in, and they often will once you stop rushing to save yourself with noise. It teaches you that the longest 10 seconds in a meeting belong to whoever can hold them. Learn to hold them. Look down at your notes, look back up, breathe once through the nose. If you never adopted one power skill beyond this, you would still alter rooms. None of this requires cruelty. It requires standards. Standards free you from relitigating your identity every day. They keep you from selling a piece of yourself every time someone offers attention as a tip. One standard, you do not discuss your private life with anyone who weaponizes it. One standard, you do not accept last-minute demands from people who chronically ignore your time. One standard, you do not defend your character in public to people who trade in innuendo. One standard, you respond to real mistakes with a clean apology that names repair, then you go quiet and fix it. You do not turn contrition into a theater piece. You do not make your remorse pay rent to a crowd. It is not heroic to be available to everything. It is reckless. Your future suffers each time your present sells out to a momentary need to be caressed by the room. This is the dark power of respect. It cares little for caresses. It cares for lines that stay straight when wind rises. It cares for the decision that holds even when it costs a brunch invite. It cares for the habit of choosing signal over noise so consistently that people plan their approach to you instead of springing chaos on your hour. There's an eerie calm that settles once you become this kind of person. Provocations thin out, rumors travel shorter distances, opportunists search elsewhere. The ones left are builders and honest rivals. You want both. Ask yourself the one question most people dodge. Would you rather be easy to love today or impossible to move for the wrong reasons tomorrow? You can be both loved and respected, but the path usually runs through respect first. Love that follows respect has bones. Love that demands likability first has sugar. Which one do you want at the foundation of your life? Sugar burns fast, bone lasts. This does not make you grim. In fact, it frees you to be warm without being harvested, funny without being a clown, generous without feeling emptied. When your boundaries carry authority, your affection stops sounding like a lure and starts feeling like weather, steady, nourishing, real. Remember that people aim at what they believe will move. If your face, your voice, your pace, your mood all move on command, you will be targeted by every bored archer with a spare arrow. If you carry yourself like a wall built on bedrock, archers conserve ammo. They may not like you, but they will plan around you. And planning around you is the first sign you have left the soft layer of the social ground and stepped onto stone. There is a final paradox you must accept to unlock this fully. The more you try to be liked, the more alone you become because you lose the respect that makes loyalty endure when storms hit. The less you audition for affection, the more real affection finds you because people can finally trust that your kindness isn't bait. The more you explain your worth, the more you look unsure. The less you explain, the more your work speaks, and the more your quiet turns into a presence that calms rooms before you even sit down. The more you chase easy smiles, the more you invite hard problems. The more you guard your control, the more your life fills with people and projects that deserve your time. So stop begging to be liked. You are not a busker with a hat on the sidewalk of other people's attention. You are the architect of a city only you can build. Start with the building codes. Silence before reaction, outcomes over opinions, distance over drama, facts over theater, standards over moods. Walk into rooms as if your schedule belongs to your mission, not to the weather of the audience. Protect your mornings. Shorten your sentences. Do the slow, invisible work that lets you keep your promises without fanfare. Refuse to make your character a public utility. Answer real questions with clean answers and stop. Step back when a fire wants you as fuel. Step forward when a job wants a spine. When the old pull to please rises, remember what it cost you: bent hours, bent sentences, bent self. Remember the way you looked at your calendar and saw a crowd staring back. Remember the tightness in your voice when you tried to sound agreeable and only sounded uncertain. Let that memory harden your standards without hardening your heart. Then watch what returns in its place. Time, focus, clean exits from messy rooms, allies who step up unasked, critics who grow careful, and a reputation that keeps trouble from knocking so often. Machiavelli would nod at this version of you, not because you're ruthless, but because you're real. Power declared is cheap. Power displayed through restraint is expensive. Control shouted is performance. Control held through pacing is command. Likability that begs for protection is a mask. Respect that deters casual harm is armor. Choose armor. Choose command. Choose the quiet authority that makes other people rehearse before they come to you. Let them bring their best. Let them discover that your best is not for sale at the price of flattery. Let them walk away confused that their old tricks failed. Then let them return ready to build. You are not leaving kindness behind. You are leaving the counterfeit behind. You are trading the sugar rush of approval for the slow burn of earned respect. You are moving from a life arranged for applause to a life arranged for durability. Do that long enough and your days will read like design, not like damage control. People will say you are hard to impress, hard to shake, hard to use. They will not be wrong, and the ones who matter will find you easy to trust, easy to follow, easy to build with. That is the point. That is the dark power. That is the door out of the habit that kept you small. Walk through it and do not look back.